Hey, Mike here, and in this video we are going to break down or do a hook and lift map of Somebody to Love. This is a new track that just broke into the top 3 of the Tech House charts, and it is by Ben Kim, I believe. I'm just going to double check that really quick. And yes, it is. And out on Realm. And let's go ahead and do a hook and lift map. A hook and lift map, of course, is where we are going to map out the hooks of the track and how they develop over time, and map out the lifts of the track and how they develop over time. So the lift is just something that will lift the energy of the track. Typically, that's done through the drums, like so a ride lift that lifts the energy. You can throw in some 16th note shakers or a tambourine that will lift the energy. Other things that lift would be like a string sometimes, or just anything. Okay, so we're going to look at how the hooks develop over time and then how the lifts develop over time. And we're not going to go deep into like how the groove was made, because that's not what we're looking at. We're interested in how the arrangement develops over time. And the reason why is because, I mean, I'm blanking, but the answer is obvious. But obviously you want to connect with the listener. You want to have an exciting arrangement and have the track unfold in an exciting, surprising, captivating way. And I think that's probably the most important skill to have, or maybe second most important, because you got to know how to build grooves. But then once you know how to build grooves and you find your hooks, it's a question of, well, how am I going to make that cool over like 5-6 minutes? Okay, and so that's what hook and lift maps are designed to do. They're designed to help us understand how we can arrange our tracks, right? So the question is always, I'm stuck in the loop. How do I get out? Well, if you've done 1,000 hook and lift maps, you're going to have a pretty good idea of how not to get stuck in the loop. Okay, you're going to have a pretty good idea of how to arrange your track over time and how you can develop it in an exciting way. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. A little bit of an investigation. We're going to see what we can pull out of Somebody to Love, and let's just get started right away. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go into what the beat is, but I'm just going to create a generic beat map. I will just right click here, and then we also have this texture. And the texture is just kind of like, you know, a vinyl noise kind of sample. And this is, I'm just going to write SC for sidechain, because you can hear the heavy sidechain on it. There's a couple little crackle loops in there, but I'm not going to map them all out. You got this kind of noise down the middle, a little bit mid-rangey, and you've got some crackle on the sides. But we're just going to put it all under this one little track here. All right. And this track is fairly new, so I haven't listened to it that much, but I really liked it when I first heard it. And that's going to make it fun, because I'm going to be surprised as we go on. So let's go ahead and keep going here. So that is really cool. So we have a ride. So that could be like a lift right there, right? So we've got just a little ride lift. And the cool thing is I labeled here, it's 16th notes. I mean, that's just weird, and it's loud, right? I'm just going to write that on here too. And so right away, we've got two things within the first, just after 30 seconds, first 45 seconds, within the first minute. We've got this interesting thing, right? The 16th note ride. And it's loud, it's panned right. It's just weird, but cool. All right, another lift. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of lifts here. You know, what's funny is the beat starts out so simple that I'm pretty much going to have to map out all the drums. Anyway. I was going to say the beat was so simple because it's just the kick, but that's not really the beat. Anyway, we'll see what happens. So this is just going to be a scratchy hat. Yeah, that's fine like that. But this comes in at the 4. Okay, so just like that. So I'm going to just write right, and this is just a little bit left. So we're just taking a little bit of mixing notes here. Just kind of interesting to take up the stereo field. So I'm not entirely sure what that is. I mean, it sounds like it, I mean, if we want to break down real simple, there's 3 sounds I'm hearing: the bass, the upper harmonics, which could come from a different bass sound sample or something, and then I hear that that high harmonic up there. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's come over to Isotope Insight and see where that harmonic is, that high one. This is a spectrogram, which is really cool for seeing this kind of stuff. It's kind of hard to see in a spectrum analyzer sometime, and so the spectrogram is nice. So it's still kind of hard to see where that sound is. It might just be this top layer right here. Okay. But really weird. Just sounds going on in here. I don't know. But you can see the harmonics that are brought in here. Now, to me, when I'm looking at this doesn't look like a synth. Okay, because a synth, what you would expect is to have like you would expect to have kind of like a fixed cutoff, or a cutoff that's kind of moving up like this, unless you have key tracking on the cutoff. But that's very rare that I see it, which would be much more common, I guess you could say, was that this is just a sample. And so if you imagine the sample, you can see how it's just being moved around in pitch here. Okay. And so that makes sense, because if you think of the harmonic signature of a bass, and you're just taking that bass sound with this harmonic signature and you're just moving it around, okay, with the pitch. And that's exactly what you see here. You just see the harmonics of the bass being moved. And I'm not seeing a kind of like a limit here, or a cutoff, a fixed cutoff on the frequency. So that makes me think this is a sample. But that's quite the distraction from what we're doing. We're just gonna do like upper bass, upper harmonics. Okay, that's all we'll do for now. If we need to change that later, we will. But these kind of just creep up. Okay, so I'm just gonna write creep on there. We've got texture. Okay, we have a little bit of an up effects thing, and I'm going to go ahead and create the 3 effects channels that I like to create usually, and that's going to be up effects, it's going to be down effects, and we're going to have accent effects. And so these are really the 3 ways that you can have a track. You can use effects to kind of manipulate the energy, or explain to the listener, communicate to the listener what the energy is at any given time. Up effects tell the listener something's coming, okay, rising tension. We're creating tension. There's going to be an exciting moment later. Down riser, down effect, down shifter, that kind of stuff is when you're settling the energy, okay? The energy is going from a higher state down into a lower state, right? And then accent is where you want to accent a specific moment. So like a crash is a great example, or any kind of like entry effect, like losing it, you know, Fisher. That goes on for a while. So, but anyway, that accents that crazy big moment and also creates that crazy big moment in, yeah, Losing It. But anyway, so we have a little bit of some up effects here. And it sounds like it's that same kind of sound from the upper bass harmonic. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but whatever. Very cool. Okay, so, okay, we got, let's get the beat here. Okay, obviously we have our scratchy hat that's still left. Okay, but here we got kick, clap, hat. So that's going to be your basic beat. Obviously the hat here, we have it mapped, but I'm just going to put kick, clap, hat here. We're not going to map the clap. Wow, okay, so I don't think that the effects are in here. Maybe they are actually. It's just hard to hear because of that 16th, but I'm hearing because right here with the ride, just trying to listen for what they sound like with the ride there. And you can still feel that pump, and I feel like I could still get that pump here. So we'll move on. All right, and here we have just what I would call like a Vox sampler chop, which is just exactly what it sounds like. It's you get a vocal and a sampler, and you're just kind of playing it. So this is playing on the 8ths, I believe. Yeah, so let's just do 8ths. Or I can also put it over here, 8ths. Okay. All right, cool. We got a vocal punk. Okay, let's get into punks. Punks stands for punctuation point. So if you think of an English sentence, okay, you've got maybe a first clause, then you got a little comma, and then you got the second clause, then you got a period. But the point is that there's levels of there's a hierarchy of punctuation points. Okay, the comma isn't as dramatic as the period. The period ends the sentence. Okay, then maybe there's a next sentence that has an exclamation mark. Okay, but the whole point is you have these kind of like structural things within the sentence that kind of increase in drama, or they can. And so in a track, in songs, we kind of have something similar. We can think of the punctuation points in like an 8-bar section. And so right kind of halfway through it, we can imagine there's like a little comma. Okay, and then at the end, we can imagine there's like a period. Then at the end of like a 16-bar section, we can imagine there's like an exclamation mark. So it's getting more dramatic. Okay, then here, maybe there's a comma as well. And so that's what punks are. Punk stands for punctuation points. And so the most important ones are going to be what I call the P4, and that's going to be the punctuation around the 4-bar mark. And then a P8, which is going to be a punctuation kind of around the 6-bar mark. We also have P6, and we have P2. Okay, these aren't as important, but as the P4 and P8, but they definitely show up. And so when I say we're having a Vox punk, that's what I'm talking about. We're having something in the 2, 4, 6, and 8. And my night shift just turned on, so I need to turn that off. Or I'm sorry, my night shift turned off. I got to turn it back on. But here we go. So let's map that. Okay, cool. So just like that. And that is extremely important. That first sound, that's the first time that we're getting kind of like a vocal with lyrics. This is just a chop, but we're finally first getting that first vocal right here. All right, so we got a P4, P6. We're going to get one on the P8. Okay, so this is actually on the this is kind of an accent actually on the next 8-bar section. It's not really this isn't a P8 punk. P8 would have to be over here before the 8-bar section ends. Okay, so anyway, just want to make sure it doesn't start over here. Cool. And so what's cool about this is it starts 4 bars in, and I assume it's going to keep on going. So remember, we're trying to figure out how the arrangement develops and why. So that's exactly what I'm working through right now. Why the heck is this starting on the 4 rather than starting on the 1? And that's because you got to give people a second to kind of digest what's going on. Okay. And so all of a sudden they're hit with this Vox chop. Typically that can go on for 8 bars, and then you'll add a new one. But he's kind of bringing things in a little bit earlier, so we're getting these Vox punks, and they're coming in 4 bars in. And so people have digested what's going on, and now we're ready to bring in something new. And so that's pretty much what's going on. All right, I just forgot something, and that is the perk, okay? The syncopation. And so before we didn't have any syncopation. We just have a kick and a hat, the beat and the offbeat. Well, we have the 16th note ride, but that's not a syncopated thing because that's just playing a constant rhythm. Beat, offbeat, but now we're getting the beat, offbeat, clap. But you could hear there's some wide percussion in the stereo field there. And so I just want to map that because that is definitely a lift. Although pretty much everything is going to be a lift in this beat because it started so little. But here we go. So it sounds like they're saying full of it. And the reason why I even want to write this out is because right after that, there seems to be some kind of like reverse vocal. And I'm just going to put these on the same channel, but you'll hear it go full of it. And then there's almost like a breath or like some kind of reverse breath or something. You hear that? So I just want to map that because that's like a little detail that I really like, because it's not just full of it and then ends. There's this breath, and I wonder if it comes in over here. Okay, so it's not over there. Okay, it just comes in right over here. All right, and then so this continues. All right, so we get the texture, and obviously now we're getting the sample. So I'm just going to put in music. Just going to put in big sample, okay? Whoops. Let's put in like, I don't know. I'm just going to put in Jefferson sample for now. For this is just music, so I'm going to put it as the this kind of purpley pink kind of color because that's what I do for music. But let's see what happens. One thing I wanted to note is there's no transition effects here. Just go straight in. Okay, so the whole sample is basically going to be one stereo track that's in his project, okay? But we're not going to map it out that way. Okay, what we're going to do, because we don't need to stay like strictly close to what's going on in the reference track. What happens here is we're getting a vocal, okay? And let's just do like, I don't know. I'm just going to call this a verse for now. And so this goes over the drums, right? The music. We got that musical bed that has the guitar, it has the bass, it has the drums, and then now there's a vocal coming in. And so this would, right here, we're in the break section, right? And so this would be a lift in the break, okay? And so here, if we come to what I would call the bass drop, which is just where the bass is introduced, we have just pretty much 16 bars of the exact same thing. The only difference is the first 4 bars don't contain that vocal punk, okay? But the 16 bars are otherwise the same thing, okay? And so there's no, what I'm saying is that there's no lifts here, okay? There's no lifts. If there was a lift right here in this section, in the second 8-bar section of the bass drop, I'd call that a B lift, okay? Because this first one would be an A, and this would be a B. Typically, something happens in the B. It can be a lift, or it can be some kind of transition sound. And so you can imagine like taking a snare from this sample, from the Jefferson sample, throw it into a reverb, and now you've got like some kind of reverse reverb effect that you could use to kind of swell into the break, but none of those transition effects are happening here. And so we don't have any lift, we don't have any trans, okay? This is just a chill. We're just chilling out on the same thing, all right? And so if I might go into those 3 things, chill, lift, and trans in a little bit, but for now, let's just move on. All I'm trying to point out here is that in this drop, in the bass drop here, there's no B lift, okay? But in the break here, we're getting a lift. It's a vocal lift, okay? So what's he doing? He's introducing us to something new, and it's that Jefferson Airplane beat, and then the vocals come in after that. You see that? So it's just well thought out. It's keeping the listener in mind. It's not giving us too much to digest too early, especially people in the club, they're drinking, maybe they're rolling or something, you know? And so, bam, they get hit with this beat. Super exciting moment. And the fact that it wasn't previewed or it wasn't foreshadowed probably makes it even more exciting. And so sometimes the best effect is no effect. All right, that actually reminds me of now that I brought it up, that reminds me of this guy Jay Abraham or something like that. He's someone in marketing or something, but he says sometimes the best way to sell a horse is to put up a sign that says "horse for sale." Okay. Anyway, it's kind of a what's called a copywriting quote, because obviously you can get crazy with like sales copy, but sometimes the best thing to do is the simplest thing, the most direct thing. And so this little transition just reminded me of that. Anyway. And when I said copywriting, I meant like writing sales copy, not copywriting with the law. Anyway, we're moving on from that, but that was just a funny thought. And so we have this kind of direct transition. We got the B lift here with the vocal. Is there anything else that's going on? Let's see. All right, so here we have a transition effect. We just have a simple white noise riser. But the thing that I was wondering about is, listen to how fast this chop is. Full of it, full of it. I don't know if that comes from somewhere else in the vocal, but if you listen to full of it here, and interesting that the full of it line is kind of the pre-drop line. And so it's kind of foreshadowed over here. I don't know if there's a connection. I don't know how important that is. Just pointing it out. But here, full of it is much slower. But full of it, about half as slow, full of it. And this one is full of it. And so again, I'm not sure if this was taken from, if this is sped up basically, or if she's just singing it fast somewhere else in the song. I'm not sure. One other thing I wanted to point out is that you'll see I didn't move the bass line over, and that's because I think the bass line that's in here comes from the sample. I wrote bass, and so it's also interesting to note that how easy was this bass line to come up with for the track? It's the exact same bass line in the Jefferson sample, right? And so that makes sense. How does that make sense? That's not the right thing to say. It's just the obvious thing to do, right? So why not just use the bass line here and just have it just play throughout the whole track? So I hope that makes sense. And not coming up with a new bass line, just use what's already in the sample so you just get this kind of like continuity, and then just use it as the bass line. So. Okay, we get a new hat. Hear that? And the old scratchy hat is no longer there. We're getting a bright 909. So this one, it's just some kind of like saturated percussion-y kind of hat. Anyway, so let's add in the new hat. So this is just going to be a hat, a bright 909. And we'll just go like this. So here we have some down effects. I'm going to put resi. Hear how like harsh that is? All right, so here the reason why I came back over here is because the chops went away, okay? I just wanted to make sure we're being conscious of those. And so here they're playing it, then when the female vocal comes in, they go away. So here's where the sampled vocal comes in. Here's the chop vocal, goes away. The chop vocal, of course, comes from the sample vocal, but it just goes away when it comes in. Otherwise, it'd just be a clash for no reason. And then here, there's no vocal chop. Okay, and so the excitement here is coming from obviously the blast, that entry, that white noise entry, and the down effect. You know what? Let's actually make this an accent. This is more of an accent than it is a down effect. It's an accent for sure. And so we're getting that excitement from that accent effect, and that new open hat. It's bright. It's got more energy. Okay, and so that's all that's needed at this point. And so then, of course, we're getting a B lift, which is just going to be the vocal punk. And so let's see what happens. We still have about 16, I guess 8 bars here. Maybe some kind of break. We'll see what happens. I'm just wondering, before the next break, how's it going to lift? Is it going to lift? Is it going to transition? I don't know. This is probably going to continue, and there's going to be something here, I'm imagining. But let's see what happens. So nothing. All right. So this is how simple is this? Okay. We've got 24 bar section. We just start with the groove, introducing the new hat. Okay. Let's let people get used to the new hat. Let's kind of let the momentum ride from the drops from the build section here. Let the momentum kind of fall with this kind of accent effect, that kind of white noise. And then bam, hit them with the little vocal punk again for a little while. That plays for 16 bars, completely unchanged. I thought maybe something else would have happened, but it's just not needed. I guess, for 16 bars. Just let people enjoy that. And then we go, bam, direct right into the next kind of break section, next big sample section, and with no transition again. Just super exciting. Boom, just hits them with a big sample. Okay, cool. So just a big sample section. That's it. Just a little bit of a break, an 8-bar break here. And one thing I didn't bring over was the effects. There was one other thing I wanted to mention here, but I can't think about what it is. What is it? Oh, I wanted to pay attention to the way that the vocal itself develops in intensity, like of performance. Okay, so what is the sample that was selected over here? And I'm just going to code this blue. And I haven't mentioned this explicitly, but this, I like to color breaks blue, drops red, breaks blue, drop red, intro and outro brown, because of how unimportant they are. All right. But let's go ahead and listen to the vocal over here. And so I'm just making a note here that this second half is more intense, especially just because she jumps up in the melody right there. Now, what would help is if I was a little bit more familiar with the Jefferson Airplane song. Did I mention that in the beginning? Anyway, this is a Jefferson Airplane sample, and it's by the same title, Somebody to Love. And probably should have listened to the track, to the original before, so I kind of know what he's selecting, verse, chorus kind of thing, bridge, but I don't. So what we're doing is we're just going to listen to the different samples that he chooses and see, just look at the relative intensity of them. Okay, so this one kind of starts off kind of flat, right? All right, but what about over here? So this is even more intense, all right. Okay, let's do, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's do this, okay? Intense level. Let's do IL for, ITSL, intense level 1, okay? Let's do IL, okay? 2, intense level. Okay, equals 1. And this one's going to be 3, okay? Intense level 3, okay? Because it's just the next step up. Okay, so again, we're getting the beat, we're getting the 16th note ride, which I'm going to move below the hats. We're getting the bright 909 hat, which I'm going to move above the scratchy hat, which is more important. And then we're getting the percussion, we're getting the bass, and now we're getting the vocal chops, okay? I thought the vocal punk was going to come in here just like it did over here, okay? But I guess it'll probably show up over here. I'm just guessing. I'm just trying to predict what's going to happen in the arrangement, and I hope that I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, then I'll be surprised, because I'm kind of predicting, well, what would I do? And if he does something else, then there's an opportunity to learn. All right, here we go. He's making me look dumb. Just kidding. But okay, so we definitely needed to get some kind of lift, all right? We're not going to let things go on for 24 bars with nothing happening. But here we're getting that vocal chop. And so this is kind of cool. So here we're just getting that vocal punk, and then we got this break section, and then we're going right into the chop. Now, one thing you could do is if we just got rid of this, so Shift Command X in Ableton, this would be something that you could do, right? Like just go into a new vocal here and just have the drop a little bit longer. But I like that he has this kind of 8-bar section that just kind of breaks it up, and then bam, we'll go right back into the exact same groove with just a different vocal hook. And then we're bringing them together over here as we transition into the main break and build. All right, so let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Obviously, you can see there's a little bit of an edit. So let's see what's going on. So is that the break actually starting earlier, or is that kind of like an edit? So we'll see. We'll see, because we'll see when the drop comes in, which is about right here, and that looks like it's about 24 bars long. And so this is just starting it a little bit earlier, kind of through the edit section of the C, right? So A, B, C. So this is kind of like a C. So I'm just going to make a little new thing here, which is interesting because up until now, there's been no transitions into a next section. So here, we just went right in. Here, we just went right in. But now he's kind of easing us in. And what is it? What's going on? So it sounds like there's a little bit of a high pass transition. So we're going to do high pass down. And it sounds like there's a little bit of a reverb too, maybe like a spring reverb. It sounds like that kind of guitar-y reverb. And so now we're getting into the main break and build. Okay, it's 24 bars long, and it looks like it. We'll see. Those are my favorite. Maybe this is a good spot to kind of talk about chill, lift, and trans, because in my opinion, or kind of my theory is probably a better way to say it. My theory is that there's only really 3.5 things you can do. 3 things. Okay, so a section can be, and what I mean is 3 energy levels, or 3 types of energy that you can have in any given section of a track. You can have a chill section, and that's what a lot of the sections are in this track, okay? It's just chilling on this for 16 bars, just chilling. There's no lift really. There's no transition kind of sound. So from here, this is just a chill, okay? But here we are getting a lift because we're lifting the vocal, okay? So right in this section, we got a chill, we got a lift. But then here, this is just another chill section because now we're just chilling out on the same thing. All right, but here, like a transition would be where there's some sound that's indicating we're going somewhere. We're going somewhere new. And so, for example, a build section is like the quintessential transition section because that's what it is. It's building up to the next section. And so the way that he's building, the way that he's creating that transition energy is that he has a riser. Real simple, okay? Just a riser here. It's a transition section. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because we're at a 24 bar main break and build, okay? Main break. And so why am I bringing it? Think about why 24 bars is significant, okay? Because typically we work in 8-bar sections. And I just told you there's 3 kinds of energy you can create. So 3 times 8 is 24. So kind of like a pure energy development for a break would be 24 bars. I'm not saying that breaks had to be 24 bars at all. I'm just saying this gives us an opportunity to see chill, lift, and trance potentially in like a pure kind of form, where the first 8 bars, it's just chilling. Second 8 bars, we get a lift in energy, okay? Rising the energy up a little bit. And then in the C section, in the third 8 bars, we're getting a specific transition sound. And so I have no idea if that's what's going to happen here, but I just wanted to introduce you to the chill, lift, and trance. Now with trance, there's actually 2 kinds of transitions you can have. You can have up, which is what I usually mean by trance, or you can have a transition down in energy, and I usually call that settling the energy, okay, transitioning down or cooling down, okay. But let's see what happens here. I just want to introduce that to you. It does have a funny, what's it called, acronym maybe, CLT, okay. Now, if you wanted to take lift, you could do CLIT, okay, and so that's an easy way to remember it. But anyway, I'll just call it CLT for now. Here we go. There you go. Okay. Chill, lift, and trance. Pure form. Pure form. I love 24 bar builds because it gives me the opportunity to see if they're following the formula, right? Chill, lift, and trance. So that's exactly what's happening here. Okay. And so here we have a chill section. We just got the beat. Okay. Then we're lifting with the vocal. That's getting way more energy into the track, way more interest. That's just grabbing people on the dance floor with that vocal. You know, especially if they know the song, they're going to sing along, but it lifts the energy. Okay, so here they were just dancing. We're going to give them a break, you know, kind of, it's not much of a break because that drum beat's kind of intense, but then boom, we're getting that vocal lift. And then here we're getting the chorus of the track, the title of the track, the title vocals are in this, and the chorus here. And then we're getting our dedicated transition sound, okay? And so chill, lift, and trance, about as pure form as it gets right here, okay? Now, lifts don't always have to be with vocal. Actually, in the beginning of the video, I talked about how lifts are mostly going to be drums. And so here, a lot of times what you could do is if you have a vocal kind of playing, and then it plays again, the exact same vocal, you'll bring in like the tops of the drums, or you'll bring in a clap, or you can bring in a hat. So that would be an example of a typical lift, something that's more typical than this. This still follows the CLT kind of formula, but another typical thing that you would have in the transition section or the build would be a snare roll, right? So basic. And so a very basic CLT kind of thing would be hook, some kind of drum lift in the B section, some kind of drum B lift, and then a snare roll, riser, growing in the transition section, okay, in the build, in the C. And what I mean by C, I'm not sure if that's clear, but I mean A, B, C. So 8 bars A, B 8 bars, C 8 bars, okay? So anyway, let's move on. I think that's hopefully clear. If not, of course, you can leave a question below, but let's move on. Okay, so here I don't know. I'm just going to put intensity level 3 because it's kind of like this. Actually, that's lower, isn't it? Okay, but it gets more intense. Okay, so maybe it's kind of like 2, and then we can cut it in half here. It's kind of like the first time the vocal comes in where it's divided in 2, where we get this kind of flat. See that? And then over here, same thing. All right. Okay, I'm getting way too caught up in this, but that's okay. We'll move on quickly. I'm just going to move this over here because it's pretty much the exact same kind of intensity levels. Then here I put intensity level max because this is what the track is all about. This is what it's all about. And so this is the chorus, the title. The chorus was what everyone's really waiting for. All this other stuff, that's cool, but this is it. Okay, this is the money moment when that chorus kind of finally comes in. Now there's a track out, I think it was on Glasgow. Let me see here. I'm not sure. Let's see. Sail Away Beatport. Yeah, this one. Okay. So this track, the reason why I'm bringing this track up right here, Sail Away, oh, come on, is because this whole track is, I don't know if you've heard the vocal, but it's sail away, sail away, sail away. But he holds off on that the entire track, holds off on it, and then bam, only gives it to you right here at the peak of the build. So the structures of this track and the one that we're checking out are very similar. And I love that idea. I love that idea of take a monster vocal chorus or something like that, or not a chorus, because these are just phrases. Sail away, somebody to love. These are just phrases. So take a monster phrase and then just don't give it away yet, and just only give it away at the peak climax energy level of the track, right at the top of the main break and build, at the top of the main build. And so let me play this really quick. Okay, so if I just log in, I'll be able to. So annoying that it logs me out of this stuff. So if we go back, oh my God, sail away. I just want to show you. Sorry, that beatport's being difficult. There we go. So I have a subscription, so I can listen to the entire track, which is very helpful. Anyway, and so it is on Glasgow. Okay, I was right. But you can hear, like, we're getting a catchy part of the vocal here. It's catchy. That's important. Of course it's catchy, but it's not the main vocal. Check it out. All right, same with right here. It's the exact same vocal. So, all right, so now when we start to get over here, we're finally going to get that massive payoff, the payoff we all want. We're waiting for it, and finally we get it. Right? I mean, how cool is that? Amazing. Okay. Same exact thing is going on here. Okay. It just happens for a little bit longer, but that's the payoff. Okay. So in the Sail Away track, we're just getting it bam once, and then I think it's gone. I'm not sure if it plays anymore, but over here we get it. We get the chorus. Okay. So there you go. Okay. That's the whole point of the track. Everything that came before it is just really to set up that moment. Okay. And then, well, and to get people dancing, I guess, but here we go. So moving on. So that's the mega moment there. And then let's just finish out the song. Okay, I must have been hearing things. Sorry about that. But basically, I thought we lost something right here. Obviously, we lost the vocal, but I thought we lost something else, and I think I'm just hearing things. Okay, cool. And so, so simple here. We just have a B lift that goes away. And so, it's hard to define exactly what the outro here is here. It could be this, because this is something typical to do where you have the groove playing through 16 bars in the outro, just subtractive, and then you have just the beat playing for the next 16. But in this case, we're kind of changing up the beat a little bit, keeping the bass in. But I don't know, maybe we can label it like that, or we could say the drop is 32. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I'm actually kind of tempted to do it like this now, to have the outro for 1 minute and then have the drop just be this guy. Again, I'm just being really weird about this. The definitions here really don't matter, but the reason why I'm willing to, I like this idea better, is because, so we're getting the drop, it comes in chill, and we're getting a little bit of a lift, and then it just kind of falls into the outro. We just start subtracting things, which is kind of an outro-y thing to do. So I'm going to leave the colors like this, at least in my project here. Yeah, so let's just make sure the outro is like this. So we have the kick clap, so that's different from over here. Over here, we don't have any clap. So here we have the kick, the clap, and that crunchy open hat. Okay, so no bass. And then here we just have a high pass. Okay. One thing I'll do really quickly, and then we'll kind of just do up some wrap-up thoughts, is sample this kick really quick. Okay. Oh, shoot. I'm in the habit of pressing Command-Shift-T right now just because I keep on creating MIDI clips, but we need an audio clip. Let me just listen to this one. Yeah. Okay, so one thing I want to get out of there, obviously, is the vinyl crackle. And so I'm not going to go deep into how to do this. I'm just going to show you this because it's kind of cool. But I'm going to take a kick sample rack that I made. All the plugins will pop up. You'll see it's mostly LFO tool, and with a Pro Q. And but this is in the kick drum mastery video. I show you how to do this. But so let me turn this off and listen to this. Okay. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because if I was going to be analyzing this track without recording the video, this is what I would be doing anyway. I'd be like, oh, I could sample that kick, so let me sample it. So right now you can hear the vinyl crackle. As soon as I turn all the rack on, the vinyl crackle is going to go away. A little bit. You can hear it a little bit, but that's acceptable, okay? Because all the tops and crap that sit over on top of the drums are going to be hiding that. And so what I'll do now is just freeze and then flatten, and we'll have a nice little kick that we can save. So we'll flatten this, and for some reason Ableton lengthens it. It probably has to do with the sample delay or something. And then now we just have a nice little kick. Okay, so what I'm going to do is Command J this. I'm going to go to Show in Finder. I'm going to do duplicate. I'll do kick underscore somebody to love Ben Kim. And I used to look at the key. I don't really care about the key anymore. Plus, there's ways that you can actually change the key of the kick. And so I don't label that. And now I'm just going to take this kick sample. I'm going to drop it into sample folder A. And there we go. Now I can use that if I could cycle through that. It could be a kick that I audition in a track to see if it works. And there we go. We just sampled the kick. We just mapped out the hook and reference development. And so let's talk about the lessons. Okay. So the lessons, number one, which is pretty much going to be the lesson for every top track, is simplicity. This track is so simple. Like, it's just is incredible, but it's just we've seen now how they're able to develop it effectively over time. And so what hooks are there? Okay, so we have the chops on the eighths. Da, 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 da. That's it. There's no melody. It's not like da, 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 da. Nope, it's just da, 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 on the eighths. And that just, it gives a sense of speed, right? Just kind of speed things along. Okay. And then another thing that we have is the vocal pumps. And so from what I heard, there wasn't, she didn't sing that line full of it fast anywhere else in the vocals that I heard here. So it sounds like that's just kind of, he double timed it on his own, full of it. But we just have chops and we got punks in the drops. Okay, that's all. That's the only thing, the only hooks that we have in the drop section. So here you can see in what I would call HD 1. This is hook drop 1. Okay, this is the bass drop introducing the bass line. Yes, we have hooks over it, but structurally, I would just refer to this as just the bass drop. Then we have break 1, hook drop 1, break 2, hook drop 2, and then main break and build, hook drop 3 in this case. This wouldn't, for me, be what I call a traditional arrangement. A traditional arrangement is not going to have an extra break and drop. So this would be like more of a traditional structure where you have break drop, break 1, where you have intro, bass drop, break 1, hook drop 1, main break and build, hook drop 2, outro. That would be a traditional structure. But this has that extra kind of break in there, which is cool. It's not bad or anything. It's just not the typical structure that you'll see. It's not like the most common structure. But I love what this break is doing in here because it's giving us space here to bring in that next vocal hook. So in HD1 here, in this drop, we have the vocal punks just over the groove. That's literally it. Okay, that's literally it. The vocal punks. The da-da-da, da-da-da. That's just repeating on, I think, just the every other downbeat or something. Let's see. Yeah. And then we get this break. And then we have the next drop here, kind of. And then that's just starting on the vocal chops. And then we get both of them together over there. And this is about as busy as the drop section gets in the entire track, is when we put those two vocals together. Actually, yeah, that's right. This is like the full groove, because over here we're not getting the main open 909 hat. Here we are getting the main 909 hat. Over here we have that kind of scratchy hat. So check it out. But here we're going to get that bright hat, which obviously has a lot more energy. And so this is about the climax of the groove. And then here we're having the climax of the track, I would say, because this is where that chorus finally comes in. And then here at the end, we're just getting just a simple groove, and then we're getting that vox, the vocal punk over the top. And so the hook development is like absurdly simple in the drops, and then in the breaks, it's just as simple. Okay, we're getting just the beat from the sampled track from the Jefferson sample, and then we're getting the vocal on top in the B here of break 1. We're getting both the beat and the vocal on top in this break section. And then in the main break and build, we're getting that chill section with just the sampled groove or sampled beat. Sampled groove because it has the bass in there, which is what the bass line comes from anyway. And then we have the vocal lift, and then we have the chorus section, and then we just go into the outro. So simple. And so this would be a great arrangement to mimic and to model, probably a better word to say. And just, can you pull this off? Go find a track that has a vocal that's recognizable, a phrase, and know that what you're working towards is just popping it in there at the climax of the main break and build. And then just taking a couple samples and punks, little vocal segments, and using those as hooks to kind of tease what goes on in the breaks. Okay, because there's no full vocal in the drops. All the full vocals only take place in the breaks. And so that gives you something structural to follow. So go find your verse, go find your chorus, and you've got your raw materials. Pull out a chop, pull out a little punk that you can throw in. Have your verse, okay? Put the verse, chorus, okay? And then chops, and punks, okay? And other than that, like, there's almost no lifts going on in the drum section. So this is just a great track because it's unconventional by a lot of rules, I guess you could say. But at the same time, it still has the ultimate rule, which is just simplicity, confidence in presentation, getting big things and putting them in front of people. Okay, and so this is a massive kind of vocal. And the groove is massive, right? Like, it's simple. It's just got a kick, clap, open hat, a 16th note ride, and a little bit of percussion to help the groove a little bit. And then, yeah, that 16th note ride is probably the most interesting thing to me in the groove. But there's not much to say about it. I mean, simply describing the way the track develops is interesting, and it's so simple that all I can say is just, again, find a vocal that's similar to practice arrangement and see if you can come up with something that's just as interesting and as simple, okay? And I think that's it for this one. But if you have anything that you want to add, definitely leave a comment down below. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down below. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.